Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 10 of Jacked Up Being Frank. I'm Jack Bonner, my co-host, Frank and Radio. We are going to discuss a little bit about the Giants losing again to the Dallas Cowboys, another team they lose to a lot, and the Jets. And the Jets game that just came to its completion, another loss for them. And also from the big games around the league, it's just on right now, the Ravens versus the Eagles. We will also be discussing college football for the first time, and just because of the big fights that have gone on, because of the planning of the flag and this rivals week, which has been a huge success for college football. The rival week has made people talk about it a lot, and about a lot of teams beating their teams on the home on away turf, or away teams beating other teams on their home turf and then planting their flag. And then of course we'll go a little bit into depth about the play of Mikal Bridges and how the Knicks need to get better as a whole to hit their goal. My first question to get this going is, how big of a deal is it if a rival plants their flag on your field as a point of view from a team that just lost on your home field?
Jack, I go back and forth on this. I was cool with what happened yesterday. I go back and forth. I don't want to be hypocritical because usually I'm traditional on celebrations. I don't like excessive celebrations.
But it's a tradition, though.
I don't like choreographed stuff. I like genuine emotion. I don't believe in, you can't show emotion. You got to be stoic. Depends on your personality. Some people are quiet and stoic. That's great. Other people are more emotional. That's great. All right. Different personalities, I think, make the world go round, and it's a good thing. I was fine with this yesterday because it was a team thing. I especially don't like celebrations when they make it about the individual. You know, even some of these team celebrations, they make me cringe. Like, it's sort of a team celebration, but it's really these guys promoting themselves, but like just together. But this thing yesterday to me was a team celebration. Michigan, who was a 20-point underdog, went into Ohio Stadium, beat the number 2 ranked team in the nation. They're bitter, hated arch rivals. They beat them 13-10 on a field goal in the last minute. And you have every right to celebrate that. And I don't think it was something that was bad. They shook hands after the game. The teams came out for the usual, shaking of hands and, getting together at midfield, which, both sides really don't want to do, but it's professional, even though it's not, it's a professional thing to do, even though it's college football, which is sort of semi-pro now anyway. But anyway, like it's a tradition. It's something that's a good thing. It's good sportsmanship, so they did that. So at that point, Ohio State, they go and do their alma mater. They call it Carmen, Ohio. So, all right, they go do their alma mater. So they're upset because, okay, we're doing our alma mater and you're planting a flag while we're doing that. Well, you know what?
You lost.
Wait to do your alma mater then. All right, so wait, let them have they just won the game. They went into your stadium. All right, Ohio State's beaten Michigan plenty. I mean, they dominated this rivalry for like 15 years before Michigan won the last 4. All right, so they went in, 20-point underdogs, beat you in your stadium in the most bitter, biggest rivalry in college football, the game. All right, they have a right to celebrate for a few minutes on your field afterwards. If they want to plant a flag, let them plant a freaking flag. So I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with Ohio State and the way they react. I'm not saying Michigan did everything right. There's blame on their side for the melee, which people are calling it. All right, fine. But I don't have a problem with them planting the flag. And to me, Ohio State, you let them have their time. Then you do your alma mater. And then it's incentive for you as Ohio State. It's, hey, next year, we're going to go into the big house where Michigan plays. We're going to beat them, and then we're playing our flag. All right? So, to me, that's the way Ohio State should have approached it. So, long story short, I have no problem with what Michigan did.
Yeah, I mean, it stinks because we agree. It would be it's terrible because we both agree. But I do think that, like, at the end of the day, if you beat me, you should have. If you want to have a fight, you should have showed fight in the game. That's my thing that I was talking about before the show. Is that if you want to fight, what about you show some fight in the actual game when minutes are on the clock and stuff like that, because you want to decide to put all your energy into protecting your field, which I understand, but you want to put all the energy in, but you didn't put any energy into winning the game, into winning the actual game.
People are saying that, and that's something that's been a prevalent argument in the aftermath of this. But I get it, but I think that Ohio State, I mean, they played hard. It's not like they went in there and it's like, all right, we're going to go through the motions. Now, maybe they took Michigan for granted a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I can't get inside the minds of Ohio State's players and coaches. But Ohio State, Michigan, they're going to the game. Both teams are playing really hard. It's a huge game. It's a rivalry game. Can't stand each other. I mean, now that the game's over, the count starts for next year's game. So it's 364 days until the game. Right? So that's how big this is. So both teams are going on and competing their tails off. So I'm going to give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt on that. So again, people are saying that, but I think Ohio State, I'm gonna again give them the benefit of the doubt. They went all in on that game. But it's just in the aftermath, you lose the game. Let your rival have their moment in the sun. Let them celebrate. They earned it. Whether they were 20-point underdogs or not. But I mean, it's even more, when there's such big underdog going into your place in that game, let them plant their flag. Leave it alone. All right, Michigan stays out there for an hour. Okay, that's wrong, but give them a few minutes. And you know what? Wait for your alma mater. You don't have to do your alma mater right away. Okay? You could wait. You do Carmen, Ohio. Go for it. But let Michigan have their time before you go into your singing.
Yeah, but my big thing about this is I feel like people nowadays are just taking this stuff real too seriously. I mean, you planted a flag in the middle of the field. We have those clips of Baker Mayfield planting the flag for his first program in the middle of the field.
When he did that at Ohio State. Was that what they were saying, or who did he do that against?
I forgot.
Okay, but I don't remember. I heard yesterday he did that. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought they said he did it at Ohio State. I mean, if he did that at Ohio State, those are not bitter rivals. And maybe, I don't know. I think it's. I wouldn't say you do it every game. If Michigan goes to name a school. Michigan goes to Rutgers. I mean, they're in the Big Ten, both of them. Michigan goes to Rutgers and beats Rutgers. And they plant their flag in the middle of Rutgers field. I feel like that's too much. Those are not arch rivals going back 100 plus years.
Yeah, it was Oklahoma versus Ohio State.
Yeah, see, that one I'd say, all right, it's a bit much. Oklahoma and Ohio State are not traditional rivals. I don't think it's every game you do it, but I think in a huge rivalry, I think it's kind of a cool thing. It's like we went into your stadium and conquered your stadium that day, right? So we're planting our flag in the territory we conquered, right? It's not actual battle. It's not actual war, right? I got to keep it in perspective, but it's a sports battle. It's a grueling game. They've won,
especially with 10-13.
It's the biggest game in college football every year, besides the national championship game. So let them have their time.
Yeah, because you're gonna get your time next year. It's look, you didn't win. You shouldn't feel like oh, they're just gonna plant a flag. It's not that, I don't think it's that big of a deal because especially if you have a chance to do it next year. It's okay, if it was the other way around, you plant a flag, you wouldn't care. I mean,
well, if you want to make the argument it's always wrong to do that, all right, they make the argument. I mean, fine, but I think it's good. I like it as a fan. Can we ask? I don't want to be hypocritical because there are celebrations I really don't like. I don't like the things that are self-absorbed attention getters.
And because
this was, again, a team celebration.
And I feel like it was a whole program celebration with the flag of your program, planting it on their field.
It's premeditated, but it really isn't.
Maybe because one person did it. But Baker Mayfield did it, but he didn't do his face on the freaking flag. It wasn't like Baker Mayfield's face on the flag. No, it was a program's face on the flag. There was programs on the flag, and it was kind of like a thing where it was just a very bonding thing for their team. It's supposed to be.
It. I mean, can we have some fun? And I don't know. I feel like some of the same people that are fine with the self-absorbed celebrations. It's, oh, you're old school and you got to stop and change with the times. Arguing against or criticizing the modern celebrations. Let's have some fun. I kind of get the feeling that the same people, not all of them, but some of the same people that make that argument had a problem with the flag celebration yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing that gets to me the most is the reporters, with typing up these articles and columns, and even their social media posts with how outraged they are. Could you save the outrage, please? It's so sickening. And it's like they're like, they want to tell us like how righteous they are, how moral they are. Like, oh, we're above this. We don't agree with. Would you stop with that stuff? And most of those people, to me, have never competed. They don't know what it is to compete. They've never been in a game anywhere close to as big as this. So you could spare me with the takes from those people who I think just, want to project to the world that, oh, I'm above this. I don't stand for this. And, they get clicks from it too. So spare me on that.
Yeah, it's also the fighting after it. There's no point to fight. You fought the whole entire game. It was 10-13. As I keep saying over them, that was a grueling battle. That's not a lot of touchdowns. Grueling battle. So why would we fight now? There's no point. Go to the locker room, listen to whatever your coach wants to say, and we'll talk about coaching later, but listen to whatever your coach wants to say, and that's about it. Just go to your locker room. Look, there's like what's the point of fighting at this point? Like, you did whatever you could in the game, and you lost. Just go back to the locker room. Like, or to your alma mater. There's nothing, like, they're not fighting you. They're just planting a flag. Yeah, that's my take on it. I don't think that's big of a deal. Maybe it is. Maybe that's why they automatically fought.
You think it's wrong. The way Ohio State went about it is not the right way to go about it. They just went after Michigan and started a brawl.
And then also,
so even if you want to say it's the wrong thing to do in Ohio State, from their perspective, they're ticked off. Their reaction to it, the way they handled it, was wrong. They could have handled it in a better way.
Yeah, they can be like, what the heck? Like, or they could just not done it. Like, they're planning they could just not done anything. I don't think having and then everybody else did it. There was a game where I think it was another planting flag. We didn't even let him plant the flag.
And emotions are running high. I mean, I can be honest, I like the planting.
I think we have.
I am not gonna endorse a brawl. A brawl is always wrong.
But they started.
But I like the emotion of how much both sides care. You got to keep yourself in check. A brawl is always wrong. It's way over the top. But again, these people don't want to get on their high horse about it. It's like, have you ever competed? I've never competed in a game nearly as big as that. I've played sports. I've competed. You competed. We're competitive people. But I think a lot of the people that have a problem with it, they don't get competition.
Yeah. And my thing about them saying, oh, we got to protect our turf. You got to protect your turf in the game. That's all about the game, is protecting your turf. How do we protect our field, or whatever it is nowadays? Field.
Right. Well, you protected your turf during the game, and then you didn't protect it. So your turf was conquered by Michigan yesterday. So Michigan, go ahead.
They didn't really take it. I guess they didn't plant a flag.
They took it for the day. So go ahead and plant the flag. I like it. I think it's a cool thing with the biggest rivalry in college football. I'm for it. And I think Ohio State is mostly to blame for what happened at the end because of the way they handled it. Now, look, Michigan deserves blame, because they took the bait with it and it turned into a brawl, and that's always wrong. But yeah, I like it. I like the planting of the flag, and then Ohio State do it next year if you win at Michigan.
But now it's going to be ruined because everyone's going to fight before it even happens. Like, there's no way they're going to let them plant the flag next year if Ohio State wins. There's no way they let them do
that's
it.
Like, Seton Hall and Rutgers. It's not nearly the rivalry of Ohio State and Michigan. Seton Hall Rutgers is men's college basketball. It's a big thing. It's a big deal in New Jersey. There's a lot of hatred and animosity. It's on both sides. So if you go win on the other team's court, you get a trophy because they have a trophy for it. It's the Garden State Hardwood Classic. So there's a trophy. So you get the trophy. So last year, Rutgers won at Prudential Center at Seton Hall's home, or Seton Hall's home court. So they got to celebrate on the court and hoist the trophy, and they're at mid-court. Go for it. I left. Seton Hall fans left. We don't want to watch that. But the year before, Seton Hall won at Rutgers. So you get to celebrate on Rutgers court.
Especially with basketball. You
want to bring out a Seton Hall flag at Rutgers and do it. If Rutgers wants to do it on Prudential, it's going to annoy me. I'm not going to like it. But
it's not about what you like. It's not like
you get like when I remember walking out of their Prudential Center last December when Rutgers won. It was painful, and I didn't watch the celebration. I'm not watching that stuff, but they're entitled to go celebrate. They beat us. If they wanted to bring out the Rutgers flag, I don't want Seton Hall going and breaking it up, starting a brawl. Stay out of the way. But remember to say, you know what? Let's go to the rack. Let's go to Jersey Mike's Arena next year, beat them, and then fly the Seton Hall flag and stomp all over the R at the middle of that trapezoid building that they have. See how that comes out there? I can't stand Rutgers.
And that's all.
I hate Rutgers. I despise Rutgers, but I love the rivalry. I want them to hate us. We hate them. That's not personal. I don't hate people from Rutgers. I know plenty of great people from Rutgers, so it's not personal vendettas. It's a rivalry. There's a serious element to it. There's a lot at stake for the people actually involved. It's a big deal to people, but as long as you keep it under control, rivalries they're a huge part of sports. I think they're one of the best parts of sports.
I think that's more hardcore than just not letting your than fighting somebody because they plan something on your field. It's because you're just letting that settle. Okay, you can have your fun. We're gonna think about that. We're gonna see that on whatever video platform we're gonna watch. See them celebrate. We're gonna take this motivation. That's more hardcore than just trying to fight somebody because you didn't like it. No, go watch them celebrate. Use it as motivation. See whatever on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, and then use it as motivation because that's bulletin board material, and you're just not letting that happen. There's no motivation now because you just started to fight. There's always motivation from Michigan, Ohio, but you just started a brawl. So what's the?
Yeah, if you're the losing team, you're the losing side of that. Use it as incentive. There's nothing wrong. It's not like you have to like it. You don't have to like it at all. You don't have to accept it, but tolerate it. So,
you don't even need. You can just walk away. You don't even need to watch it until afterwards. You don't even have to watch it happen live.
Get off the. Now they're gonna say, "Well, Ohio State sings their alma mater." Fine. But you turn your head to it. Just give them a few minutes. Look, they have a certain amount of time. They can't stay there for an hour. But give them a few minutes. Hold off on your alma mater singing. And then after they're done, they have, 3 minutes, something like that. They get off the field. They go celebrate in the locker room and go on their way and celebrate more. And then you sing your alma mater. That's how I see it.
What's the point of fighting more? That's what I'm thinking. What's the point? You already fought for about 3 hours. So let's chill. They won, let them have their time, and what's the point of even getting hurt again? Just let them have their, because they earned it. They earned it. If you're a Seton Hall fan, Rutgers came in, they earned, if they earned a win, you could say they earned it. They came in there, they won. You could say they earned it. Even as a rival fan, you could say they earned that win. They came into our arena, they beat us. Or they came into our field and they beat us. So you're realizing that they earned it.
I don't know. Do you want to take the opposite approach with it? Let them sing the alma mater first, and then Ohio State gets out of there, and then you plan. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think. Maybe it's different with basketball. Basketball, the game ends.
I think just the
Seton Hall sings the alma mater at the end of each game. I don't even remember what happened last year.
I'm not
maybe you sing Rutgers is celebrating, they win the game. Seton Hall then sings their alma mater, get off the court, and then Rutgers gets the trophy because they get the trophy after that, after the alma mater.
My thing
and then you celebrate. But
thinking as a player, I just want them right into the middle of the court. I'm going crazy. I haven't played anything.
Well, you celebrate in the immediate aftermath, but then it's alma mater for the other team, the home team, and then you continue your celebration. The home team gets off the court. You get your trophy. I mean, with the Michigan Ohio State, I don't know. Do you let Ohio State sing their alma mater first? They get off the field and then you go plant the flag and do whatever you want. Like you get the time to keep going. I don't know. I mean, either way, like just let them plant the damn flag.
It's not that big of a. It could be a big deal if you take it as a big deal. You know what I mean? That you let them do it, but you can still take it as a big deal and let them do it. You can still take it as being like, hey, it's a big deal. Honestly, it's a big deal. They plant a flag on our field, whatever. It's a big deal. But you let it happen, and you take it as a big deal, and it's motivation. Like,
I don't remember. Was Ohio State already singing the alma mater, or is it coming up? I don't know. I feel
looked like a bunch of just brawling. It looked like
if Ohio State was singing
looked
the
like
alma
the
mater, do you let them finish it? Like I was saying, let them finish your alma mater, get off the field, and then we'll plant the. See, but now I think it's becoming
too much
over analytical.
Like,
come on.
What
so these guys are singing your song. Okay, sing your freaking song and let them do it. I don't know.
Sing your song.
This is where it gets stupid. It's like, come on.
It's too,
but it's something to talk about. So we're talking about it. Everybody's talking about it throughout the country. It's clickbait. You know, the self-righteous reporters get
self-righteous
pontificate.
Yeah, that was my song. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Self-righteous. Let them do it, and then use as motivation. Like, that's self-righteous. That's what I would think. Other than like, okay, we've got to fight them. Everybody's got to charge at them. They're what? Like, everyone's got to charge. Like, it's not that. Like, never is, because at the end of the day, the alma mater tradition, I would say the playing the flag should be a tradition, as it was around around that week. It should be a tradition, man. It's a battle. It's a rival battle. Not like it's a tradition every single week, but a rival week, big, man. It's big. It's not like a random week. It's rival week. Like,
rivalries are great. I mean, again, as long as things are kept within certain boundaries, there's got to be limits. There's got to be moral and ethical boundaries, always. But rivalries are great. Competition's great. Competition makes you strive for more. It's a chance to strive to reach your potential and just keep going to new heights, to strive for greatness. That's what competition is. And then rivalries are the height of competition.
And I also think, like, my boundary for celebration is, are they hating? Like, are they really like being like, okay, you stink. No, it was more like, we're the best. Like, I don't care about those celebrations. We're the best. Like
you hate the rival,
obviously, but that was more like the playing the flag is more like, we're the best.
Well, I think
it's not like you stink.
You can't read people's minds, but the planting of the flag should be more about the love for your program and your team. And I think that's the case for rivalries. Anytime there's a competition, you should love your team, your program more than you hate the other guy. Right? Yes. But like Michigan, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like they're playing the flag out of love for Michigan. Yes, they antagonize the rival. There's certainly that element of it. But I think this stuff kept in the right perspective, within the right boundaries. It's fun. It's intense. It's competitive. Like it could and should bring out the best of people. Now, we saw it bring out the worst in people with the brawl, but I think a lot of people don't get competition. They in our culture now, it's just competition's not understood.
That was soft. I think all that was even though it sounds like, oh, brawl, that's very strong. No, that was soft. That was soft from everyone around it. Like even from Michigan, I'm being honest. Like even them trying to fight back. Like, it's just all of this was soft.
That's not strength. That's fake strength. It really is at its core weakness, giving in to the moment. So you're right about that. Like that's not a show of strength. That's really.
There's definitely other moments where you could definitely start throwing a brawl. Yeah, obviously that's not it. That's definitely not a moment because you're trying to show fake strength. No,
it's fake strength.
If someone's getting hurt on your team, yes, go out in there and fight. But that's fake strength for planting somebody a flag. They're not hurting you. It's not like somebody's going up to your quarterback and hitting them in the throwing arm or something like that, or hurting them badly. Like, Nothing happened. Like nothing like that happened.
And then you don't have to plant the flag. Like if a team doesn't plant the flag, then fine. Like, okay, you don't. It's not like it's a requirement, but you want to go do it in a huge rivalry game like that, go for it. Like, you could cross the line. Like, I don't know. I
didn't the I know it's a different like a way different thing, but didn't the Diamondbacks do that when they beat the Philadelphia Phillies? I remember that a little bit.
I don't remember.
But I think they plant a flag. It's like I know that's not a rivalry, but they just let him do it.
Well, they won the National League Championship Series, going to the World Series. I mean, look, it's their time to celebrate. They're on the other team's field. Go for it. I mean, when the Red Sox beat the Yankees in 2004, particularly, they did in 2018.
And also, it's a tradition.
Playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like when the Warriors or when the Cavs beat the Warriors in Game 7, the NBA Finals, it was a requirement to have this big ceremony for just them. This big ceremony on the
obviously you're gonna have a ceremony, but it goes to another level when you're planting a flag.
It's not. I think that's less than just having a ceremony, having like, oh, congratulations to the 2019 or whatever year it is, champions, the Golden State or the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like that's a whole different thing than just planting a flag. There's worse stuff that somebody can do than planting a flag. That's my opinion. You might be like, oh, this is a college football thing or whatever. I don't know anything.
Depends on the sport too. I mean, it's I don't know how much it's a baseball thing. Like it's a football thing. I mean, the Diamondbacks did it. Okay, like when the Red Sox celebrated and beat the Yankees in the 2004 ALCS, they celebrated on the field at Yankee Stadium. If they're down 3-0, they came back. First team to come back from down 0-3 in a playoff series in MLB. They didn't plant a flag, but they had a great celebration. And if they brought out a Red Sox flag and want to plant on the field, like if you're the Yankees, say, hey, we'll remember that. For next year.
It's not like the last time they'll ever play. Like it sounds like it's the last time they'll ever play. Like they plant a flag and we're never going to see him again. You see him again next year. You see him again next year. It's not like you're never going to see him ever again.
That's the two sides of it. It's like, hey, you're going to plant a flag. It does give incentive to the other team. So the team that lost, it's like, hey, I wouldn't dwell on it, but you remember it. And then when you go play them the next year,
but because you fought, now
you hey, I want to go into your building and win the game and plant our flag.
Is it less of a motivation? I mean, it always is. I think obviously Michigan, Ohio's a motivation, but I think it's less motivation because they fought about it. They even let them do any of their celebrations.
How much motivation do you need for Ohio State, Michigan? Like whether this happened or not, next year it's going to be as intense as it gets. Like this is going to be a story next year. So when they play a year from now,
and maybe Michigan
at the big house in Michigan, it's gonna come up. The brawl, the planting of the flag.
And also, I feel like this was the year where Ohio State was gonna break that streak, where Ohio State was loaded and Michigan was.
I didn't think Michigan was gonna win, but can I say I'm totally surprised? No, and that's what happens in games like
in rival games. You lay your foot off the gas, and a rival's already has a bunch of adrenaline, wants to win. I mean, this Michigan team, they ain't no slouch. They lost a bunch of people, but.
And I don't know that you could really add to Ohio State, Michigan. Like it's as big as it gets in terms of sports rivalries. But this is going to be a big story next year going into this game.
That's what I say about rivalry. It doesn't matter what record they are. I mean, definitely does in NFL when you have the Dallas Cowboys versus Giants. But you have rivalries, and it doesn't matter what record they are. It's a big-time rivalry. That's what separates rivalries from different games. It doesn't matter what record a team is. It's still going to be one of those.
The situation raises the stakes.
Yeah.
Was it last year they were number 1 and number 2 going into the game? I can't recall, but they were both, I think, at least top 3. They might have been 1 and 2. So that raises the stakes. I mean, there's higher stakes when it's that situation versus this year's situation. But again, it's still Ohio State.
It's still
it's still the biggest
clickbait kind of, not clickbait. It's definitely not clickbait, but I'm just gonna say clickbait of those two teams playing against each other, basically. Not like an actual clickbait, but just the kind of thumbnail of the game of them playing against each other. It's big. It's big for ratings. It's big for everything, and it's big for the game.
It's gonna be very interesting a year from now when that game's played at the big house.
Yeah.
So, staying on Michigan, Ohio State. Another aspect of this, I don't think there's too much to talk about the game. I mean, it wasn't really a great game. It was a low-scoring game. It was a battle on the
I
field.
just should be.
But 13-10, Michigan kicked the field goal, I think, with 45 seconds left to take the lead and win it by that decisive field goal. So I think a really interesting part of this is Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State. I mean, he has an incredible record as the Ohio State coach, but he has lost the last 4 times, and Ohio State has lost the last 4 times to Michigan. So what does that mean for Ryan Day? Does he have to win the national championship to save his job at Ohio State?
Well, it's definitely harder in college football because of how big rivals are in college football. Rivalries are. But yeah, I mean, this team was a successful college football team at the end of the day. That's what they are. They're a very successful college football team. Ohio State is. So what I'm saying is
they're the cream of the crop.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if they win the national championship, it's whatever. Like he's a national championship winning coach. I mean, it'll all be for nothing if they don't win a championship.
Is there a chance he's still out if they win the national championship? A friend of mine brought that up yesterday. I'm like, I don't think so. I can't.
That would be insane.
I don't think. I think if they win the national championship, all's forgiven. But do they have to win the national championship for him to keep his job?
I mean, again, as you said, they're a cream of the crop. There's a very organization that holds their program that holds their self to a high standard. So if you're not winning the games that you're supposed to, like, if you're not winning the games that really matter, then what do you really are as a coach? Because you can beat those 2-7 teams and make your resume look good. But at the end of the day, when you're not beating the games that matter, what's the point? And you're making boneheaded mistakes in the games that matter. What's the point of having you, even if you have a big time resume? Like, what do we have the game of keeping you? Because we have such a great program. What do we have to keep you? Like, we just go get another head coach lined up, the coach for Ohio State, because we're the cream of the crop. I think that is kind of what Ohio State should be saying. And again, if the guy wins the national championship, maybe he is the coach. Maybe he just had like 4 games against Michigan, which was like, an anomaly. I mean, man, it's a big game. Maybe that's just the players didn't come out to play. Maybe it wasn't a lot about the coaching. Maybe it's just the players didn't come out to play. There could be a lot of that factor in other than just the coach. But I think you lose 4 games to a team that you want to beat, and you win games against 2-7 teams. Like, what's the point at that at the end of the day?
So Ryan Day is in his 6th season at Ohio State. So he became the coach in December of 2018. His first season was the 2019 season. So I was looking it up as you were talking. His record at Ohio State is 66-9. So, and he is, I got to look up what he's against. I mean, he's lost the last 4 to Michigan. I'm not sure, off the top of my head, what Ohio State did against Michigan in 2019 and 2020. They lost in 21, 22, 23, and 24. But he's 66-9, and 4 of those losses are to Michigan. So, I mean, he has a tremendous record. They were in the college football playoff, I think, a couple times in his tenure. So his resume is really, really good at Ohio State.
And he also, I think honestly what they're trying to say is that he made bonehead mistakes in a game that obviously they need to win. I mean, they should have won. He made bonehead mistakes. That were really, he called back-to-back timeouts. He had his offense stuck in the neutral zone. Like, there's mistakes there that you cannot make.
Yeah, but I
think that's a big balance.
I don't think it's worth dissecting. I don't think it's worth dissecting the in the micro. I'm trying to think of the best. Yeah, I think it's better to look at it in the macro picture instead of, well, he did this during the game, he did this during this game. And I think really, you have to follow the team consistently. You have to be a close follower of Ohio State football to really know that. you and I don't follow Ohio State football closely. We'll tune in for a big game. We know what's going on, but like I don't feel comfortable talking about Ryan Day's decision making in games. I don't watch enough Ohio State football. You can watch yesterday's game and say, "Oh, well, this is glaring." I don't agree with this, agree with that. He botched this, but are you going to fire him off of the micro things? This instance, that instance, this decision. I don't think you look at it that way. I think you look at the macro where they've lost 4 in a row to Michigan. 2 of those are at home, 2 of those on the road. They got blown out in 2 of those games, and then another one was yesterday where they were 20-point favorites with a lot on the line in terms of the college football playoff, which they should still be in, but they're now going to drop in their seeding. I mean, they were looking at a home game in the first round, and now they're probably looking at going on the road in the first round of the playoff, with the playoff now being 12 teams this year for the first time. So I think it's more the macro picture. It's, do you think he deserves to keep his job because his body works really good? Or do you say, well, you know what? He's lost to Michigan 4 times in a row, and that's the big game each year, and it really reveals what kind of coach you are in that game, and he has failed in that game. And the team, the high expectations of Ohio State. They've been in the college football playoff, I think, a couple times under him. It's not easy to get there. It was the top 4 teams in the country making it. Now it's 12. So, it's I don't think it's an easy call. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think if they don't win the national championship, he's going to lose his job.
Yeah.
I just, because this game is so big and this loss was so bad yesterday.
And he also didn't do anything in the midst of the chaos, which doesn't.
That's another thing that people have brought up. He was on the sideline. I don't know. I don't know how much I want to hold that against him. I saw, that guy, Ocho? Not Ocho. Ocho. I'm thinking Ocho Cinco. That guy, Acho. You know him?
Yeah.
I don't like him. He's a big mouth. He's going off about that. I think those, to me, that kind of takes us to. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but he was. I don't like that guy to begin with. I'm not a fan of him as a commentator. But how much do you want to make a big deal about that? I don't make a big deal about that. Could he handle a better shot? I'm not going to fire him based off of that.
Yeah, I don't want to, but it's a big. He froze under pressure. He did the whole entire game.
Did he freeze? I don't know. It's he was on the sideline. Should he have ran out into the brawl? I get, try to break it up. Yeah, I get. Yeah. But is that really what you're going to fire him over that?
It was I feel like the big denominator of this was that he was frozen the entire game. Wasn't built for the pressure of this big game.
It says he's 1-4 against Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they not play one year?
2020?
Did they not play that year? That kind of rings a bell because it says that Ohio State beat Michigan in 2019.
It was canceled.
It was because of COVID.
Yeah.
They canceled the game.
December 12th.
Oh my God, that's pathetic. Going back to that time and all that stuff. How do you? I don't remember this. Why it was COVID, but why was that game canceled? Anyway, I think. Oh, so Michigan had a COVID breakout. That's why it was canceled.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened in, I think, a lot of places where they're about to play a game. They had this game set up, and then it was just a COVID breakout. And yeah, you can't really do a lot about that.
But anyway, I think if they don't win the national championship, he's out. He has a big buyout, so he'll be taken care of financially. But I do think he's out. I think that's the standard at Ohio State. And I'm torn on whether I agree with that. I'm trying to put myself in the place of an Ohio State fan. And I think I'd want him out. I do. I might have to see how the rest of the season goes. So they're not going to be the Big Ten championship game. I think you have to see how they respond in the college football playoff, but if I were an Ohio State fan, like I have to see the whole thing play out. Like if they get to the championship game and they lose a close game, do I say, okay, he's done enough to keep his job, or if
what happens if he freezes up in another close game?
yeah.
Makes mistakes. That's where the macro details I think matter, because if you get in the playoffs, you make the same macro mistakes. It's like, look, you made mistakes in 2 big games of one season where we're a program that our expectation is so high.
Now he's been the coach for 6 years, so it's not a real long. It's not a real long amount of time, but it's a significant tenure. It's not like we're talking about 3 or 4 years. See, the problem is with our conversation, I don't know enough about him as a coach. I don't watch Ohio State enough. But just on the surface, and knowing that they've lost to Michigan 4 times in a row, and I think that game really reveals a lot. And I think this game was definitely the worst of them all for Ryan Day. Because they lost at Michigan 42-27 in 2021.
Whatever.
Okay.
All right.
2022 was bad. They lost 45-23 at Ohio Stadium. So that's bad. Last year was a close game. Michigan was number 2, Ohio State was number 3, 30-24. Okay. You're not happy about it, I could deal with that one. This one was unacceptable. And this one, coupled with the last 3, makes this one fireable. I wouldn't say right now I'm firing him, but I think he's either got to win the national championship or it's you go to the national championship game and you're right in it.
Or you can still win the national championship and then get fired next time if they lose in Michigan.
I'm not firing a guy who wins the national championship. Because as big as the Michigan game is, it's bigger to win the national championship. So, but if he gets fired, I think it's legit. I don't think it's an overreaction.
Yeah. I think you let him ride out the season because I just don't see changing coaches now as like what would that
Well,
be?
you're not firing him. No, you're not firing him now.
Yeah. Like people are asking for his job now. I'm like,
no.
What's the point?
You're going to college football playoff. That's I don't think that's right. I don't think it's just. And I don't think that helps the team.
No, doesn't help the team at all. She's bringing a new coach, and it's like
he's obviously a good coach. It's not he's a good coach, but is he the right coach for Ohio State? And the game is a big part of being the Ohio State coach. It is what it is. It reveals a lot about everybody involved, and I think it reflects very poorly on him. In yesterday's game, that can't happen.
That's what you come back to saying when you said earlier, rivalry brings out great competition. It reveals a lot.
It reveals the good and the bad.
Yeah. Like the fight of Michigan with their team that wasn't supposed to win. It just shows the fight in them that they had. So that's the good of it. And Ohio State just not being able to beat Michigan again. Like the coaching and the mistake, this is that's revealing for them, but it's also revealing good for Michigan as they have a team that shouldn't really be beating Ohio State, but they come out there and they fight real hard. And
now I don't follow Michigan football closely either, but what's the head coach's name again? Is it Sherrod? I'm getting worse and worse with names as I get older, Jack. But Michigan's coach.
Yeah, Moore. Sherrod Moore. So he was the interim coach last year, did really well when Harbaugh was suspended. Harbaugh came back, they won the national championship. Now it's been a struggle this year for Michigan. 7-5 now. But that shows a lot about Moore, and he
he was the coach for the Ohio State game last year. He's won 2 Ohio State games. That's a big deal. If I'm a Michigan fan, I'm not happy with 7-5.
Because once the team gets good, like very good as they used to, you now have a feeling that this coach is right. This coach, like, doesn't freeze up under pressure. This coach knows the type of game they were playing. This coach understands what fight is. So once you give him good, great Michigan level players,
yeah, you got to get the elite talent. If you can't do that, then he can't be the Michigan coach. But if you could bring in the elite talent, he was undefeated. I mean, Michigan was undefeated last year, but he was undefeated as an interim coach. I forget how many games he coached, 3 or 4, and he won the Ohio State game. And he won the Ohio State game this year. Like, I'm like, hey, this guy has a lot of potential. And they're not happy with 7-5.
obviously not. But
I think there's a lot of things to be happy about Sherrod Moore. But it's got to bring. If he can't bring the elite talent, I can't break down Michigan's roster. But if he can't do that, then he can't be the Michigan coach. Now, Ryan Day clearly could bring in elite talent, but he's losing to Michigan every year. He's definitely on the hot seat. It's going to be very interesting to watch Ohio State in the college football playoff. They'll be there, but they probably cost themselves. I mean, they should have. They should not have a home game. I mean, they should drop to a seed where they're going on the road in the first round. How about this, Jack? Before we do some NFL, what do you think of the college football playoff? It's now 12 teams. It was 4. So now, just to outline the format, you have 12 teams. Top 4 get a bye. 5 through 12 play in the first round. Those first round games are at the site, or at the at the site of the higher seed. And then quarterfinals, you have the first round winners play seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4 got the bye. Those games are at the site of the higher seed, the teams that get the bye, and they get the semifinals and national championship at neutral sites.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool because it gives a little bit of excitement for the game. So it's like if the 4 best teams choose by the committee, like, okay, like whatever. It's the 4 best teams we know is going to be in the championship. But in this, you can have an upset of like Ohio State was a great team the whole entire year. They lost again to Michigan. They're still in there. They're still in there to kind of win the national championship. Just because they lost one game, they're on the road now and they can make an upset. So you look at that of more upsets, and I think that's better for the league. Definitely better for the league of more upsets. Because I don't even think Ohio State's an upset if they beat somebody, but I think it's kind of been a weird thing because it's a good weird thing because they lost one game to Michigan. They should have won, and then they're going in. They lost. Now they're going on the road, and now they still have a shot to win the national championship, and they could kind of get an upset. Like that's the thing that I think is good about this. They can still get an upset here, and they're not that upset type of team. They're really good. I think we know that as much as we've been talking about them. They're a good team at the end of the day, and they're a great team at the end of the day, and they could make a national championship run even though they're started on the road.
I agree with you that they can. It's gonna be not to go too much more on Ohio State. You talk so much about it. It's gonna be very interesting to see how they respond come college football playoff after this disaster yesterday. I'm torn on the playoff. I want to see how it plays out. I mean, if I have to give an opinion on it before the first playoff games are played and the first playoff in totality is played, I think I prefer the 14 playoff. I thought that was a good format. I thought it was better than just having a national championship game. They used to have the Bowl Championship Series where they picked 2 teams playing the national championship. I liked it with 4. I thought it opened it up but kept it exclusive. I thought it created really good debates like last year, Alabama and Florida State, which I felt strongly Florida State should have got in. But then after the fact, it was tough to make that argument. Now you can say, okay, well, the 12th team to get in is the last team in now, so 12 versus 13, and those debates, okay. But I'm apprehensive about it because I don't want it to be watered down, and
I
think it has taken away from the regular season. Now, there's people out there saying, no, it hasn't taken away from the regular season. It's still really exciting. But I do want to see this whole playoff play out. So I really don't want to make a pronouncement in terms of my opinion until we see this entire first college football playoff with 12 teams.
I do like the word you use of exclusive. It makes it feel exclusive if you have 4 teams instead of 12. But at the end of the day, it could work out well because you have more teams, you have more talent in just 4 games. I feel like that's more predictable. I don't know.
Well, it says with Ohio State. Ohio State would clearly not be in a 14 playoff.
No.
But
I think they're good enough to, like, even though they have 1 loss, they should be in the play because they have the talent and they have the talent in the field and they have decent enough coach. Like, they should be a national championship. They should be a national championship fighting for a team. They should be fighting for a national championship. But at the end of the day, it's exclusive, man. You can't lose games. You just cannot. But at the end of the day, it's talent, man. The Ohio State has talent, and you want to see talent the biggest stage, even if they're the 12th or 11th seed. You want to see talent in the field. Even if it asks for more games, it's just what's going to have to be.
I think there has to be the consideration of tradition and new ideas. So I like the tradition in college football where the regular season really matters. And I like the exclusivity of playing for the national championship. And I think with Ohio State, I think Ohio State disqualified itself from playing for a national championship with yesterday's result. Last year, with 4 teams in the playoff, they clearly would not have made it. Yesterday would have eliminated.
Does that make the game bigger, like rivalry bigger? Like, that could make...
Well, yeah, I think the stakes are even bigger yesterday if it's the 4-team playoff format because Ohio State's still going to get in. Now, it's devastating to lose to Michigan, and there's repercussions just for that. But Ohio State is going to be in the playoff. Now, they'll be on the road versus home, but they can go on the road and win. So it's 1 road game they're going to have to play. Now, it matters. You'd rather be at home in the first round, but they're still in where if it was all on the line yesterday where they lose, they're definitely not in the playoff, the stakes are even higher. And I liked when you had those stakes. And maybe this is my mindset because I do like the traditional way in college football, but I look at it and say, Ohio State, you are now disqualified to play for a national championship. You don't belong in the playoff for the national championship. But they're going to be in. And I look at some of these other teams too, and they have 2 losses. And it's like, to me, 2 losses has always been like, you're not playing for a national championship in college football if you have 2 losses. And I like that. I'm not comfortable with now 2 lost teams playing in the college football playoff. But I want to see the college football playoff play out.
Maybe.
So if you get a 2-loss team that goes on, wins a national championship, they play great, and they beat teams in front of them that are 1-loss teams, undefeated teams. It's like, okay, well, you know what?
And because they just lost 1 game, it's like...
Now, obviously, 2-loss teams can compete in a playoff. So that's a different part of this. Like, yeah, Ohio State could compete in the playoff for sure, and they could go win the playoff. They could win the national championship, but that doesn't mean they should be in the playoff. Like, how much are you going to value the regular season? In other sports, you could say that too. It's like, well, if this team got in, they could have made a run. But they didn't get in. Like, there has to be a standard for getting in.
It's a different...
Like the Arizona Diamondbacks. I just thought of them. They're not the best example. But the Diamondbacks collapsed at the end of the year and missed the playoffs. If the Diamondbacks made the playoffs this year, they could have went on a run. They were a better team than they were when they made the World Series. in 2023, but they collapsed at the end of the year and they didn't earn a playoff spot. I don't want to expand the playoffs more so they get in. It's like, no, you didn't earn it. You could have made a run, but you didn't do enough to qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that too. But there's definitely an argument to be had that, we want to see we want to see those teams that are really, really great on the field. And we want to see 12 teams, and maybe that's better.
Do you think 12 is the right number, or would you go to a different number?
In my opinion, I think 12 is the right number for now. I think
about 6. Like they went from 4 to 12. What if we went to 6? That means you have 2 teams in a bye. You'd have 3 play 6, 4 play 5 in the first round, and then you go to the semifinals, then you go to the finals. I don't know why they had to go to 12. I mean, there's money involved. To me, that's always the deciding factor. There's more money for them to make. I want to reserve judgment until it all plays out. If this thing goes really well and the games are really good, even if the lower seeds don't win, but they're really competitive, it's like, okay, this thing went well. So I think it's gonna be like, it creates buzz. Like, gonna be really interested in this. I mean, I would have watched a 14 playoff if that's what they had this year, but this is a new thing, so I think that's gonna get people to watch and want to see how it unfolds. But I can see my opinion going either way on it. I can see myself after saying, you know what, worked out well. Good job by the NCAA. Or I can say, you know what, this wasn't good. They watered it down. Wasn't the right move. So we'll see in due time. And I think, we'll definitely be following it, be talking about it. And then after it's done, we'll assess the whole thing. So, Jack, let's do this. Let's do a little bit on the NFL. We'll do a little bit on the Knicks. And then it'll be a wrap for the show. We'll go to baseball next week. We had baseball on the agenda, but we talked a lot about Ohio State, Michigan, college football. All right, so we'll save the baseball talk for next week, particularly Soto. It's getting really interesting there if you've been following this. So the NFL, you have any new thoughts on the Giants?
No.
Besides they stink?
Yeah, they stink.
We broke it down last week with what they should do going forward.
Yeah. And I mean, they're competing. That's all you got to ask for.
That game on Thursday was such a joke. Those teams are bad. Oh, my. What a... That was bad football.
That is what you call...
Jets lost today.
That's a great hangout with your family time. Or, just do something else.
Yeah, it's something to watch. There's college basketball on, too.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch that, but I don't think there's much to talk about the Giants. I mean, there's nothing new. They stink. We broke it down last week what we think they should do going forward. I think we can come back to that as things go on.
But for now, it's like we already talked about it. It's like, a week after, same thoughts.
Same thing with the Jets. They stink. I don't think there's anything.
We broke them down even more. Like, I think we were.
They committed a ton of penalties this game today and could have won the game, but they stink. I mean, they're just a losing team, poorly coached. The whole thing's a joke. So, I mean, it almost gets tiring talking about those two teams. I'm a Jets fan, like they stink. How much could you say it?
Yeah.
There'll be more to talk about once the season's over.
Get
into the offseason. How about around the NFL? I think that's more interesting. Games today, the playoff picture. I mean, what stands out most to you? What do you think is most interesting?
Yeah, I mean, you got Ravens versus Eagles here. These are two teams that, I mean, the Eagles have been on a run ever since they lost a few games, but they've been on a run. They've been on a big-time run where they're a team that could cause the Ravens some problems. And this Ravens offense is amazing. This Ravens offense is one of the best I think we've seen, but this Ravens team has some losses on their resume that are bad, but I think there's a team that's going to get in the playoffs.
Big win at the Chargers.
Yeah.
The Harbaugh Bowl again, which John has owned, coach of the Ravens.
Yep. But, yeah, I mean, they have some big wins, but they lost to Steelers.
Steelers are good.
Yep, the Steelers are really good.
Cincinnati.
Steelers are really good. But, yeah, but again, say the Steelers are really good, but those are teams we're going to have to face. Like those type of teams are going to have to face. So who knows? I mean, this is a big test because we could see this is a team this is a team on their level, so they could face not just the Eagles, but they could face a type of team like the Eagles. So it's a good test for them, especially if we get down to the season.
I mean, there's a lot of garbage teams in the NFL, and there's a lot of poor play. I think the product of the NFL has really declined. But the best teams, the top teams, I think will make for really good playoffs. I'm excited for the playoffs.
Because you have, like, Lamar, Mahomes, Allen. You have all those players that, I think the pride's bad, but you have like, you have superstars, super-duper stars.
In the AFC, Chiefs, obviously, they're huge.
Mahomes, Kelsey.
Going for a three-peat. They're huge. The Bills are really good.
Josh Allen and his ragtag type of group of receivers.
The Steelers are very good.
The Steelers defense, Mike Tomlin.
The Ravens, as you said, are really good.
With Russell Wilson, the Ravens, Derrick Henry having one of the best running back seasons of all time, which if it wasn't for Saquon.
And the Chargers are good. And they got Harbaugh.
Yeah. The Chargers are good.
The AFC playoffs will be very interesting.
The NFC, I mean, there's some teams in the NFC. I mean, Eagles with Hurts and them stringing through some wins. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They it's not far ago that they made the Super Bowl, so they definitely have a shot to do that. But
the Eagles. I didn't think they'd be this good, and they're in a battle with the Ravens right now in Baltimore. It's 9-7 Ravens late in the first half. So it'll be interesting to track that game the rest of the way. But the Eagles are clearly legit. I have questions about them. I think ultimately they'll fall short in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But the Lions
are
held on against Chicago, but they're really good.
They're a team that
are they the best team in football? Or
I don't know. Just it's gonna be a weird. I think we're gonna have this discussion. We're definitely have this discussion surrounding Jared Goff and surrounding him compared to the Mahomes of the world, the Lamars of the world. Can you win with that? As good as the team surrounding is, can you win with like a Lamar? Can you win with like a Jared Goff?
Yeah. I mean, they were up how many points against San Francisco last year? Was they up 17 in that game, the NFC Championship game? They were up big. They were on their way to the Super Bowl. You could definitely win with Jared Goff. I mean, I'd rather have Patrick Mahomes. I'd rather have Josh Allen.
But I think you compared to say you're going to play with those QBs. But I think also it definitely is going to be a lot about can Amon-Ra St. Do you have those type of surrounding core of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jameson Williams.
Do you think the Lions are a big favorite in the NFC? I mean, they're very likely to be the one seed. I think they're going to be. So they're going to bye. They're home throughout the NFC playoffs. Do you think they're a big favorite in the NFC?
Because I think they're a big favorite because they have no holes. I think, this team could run it down you, or they could just pass the ball with Goff, and he can throw on the money. They have a good system with him. So,
I'm looking at the standings right now in the NFC.
They are really a complete football team. They have those two running. There is not you would think about this like a flashy team that throws the ball a lot, like Mahomes and the Chiefs. No, they're a team that can run it down you. If your run defense stinks and you're matched up with them in the playoffs, your run defense not top tier, they're gonna run it down you with Jahmyr Gibbs and Dan Montgomery.
I'm gonna make a prediction because there's no consequence if I'm wrong. The Lions are the one seed. That's not my prediction, but they're going to be the one seed, very likely. Eagles, let's give them the 2 seed. They're going to win the division. They'll be the 2.
Hurts.
The other 2 divisions are terrible, so forget about those teams. The South,
Commanders are in there.
They're pretenders.
Yeah, they're definitely pretenders.
But you have Minnesota and Green Bay right now. Minnesota's the 5, Green Bay's the 6. So I'm going to say Minnesota and Green Bay go on the road and win their wild card games because they're going to play some garbage
Commanders or
that wins.
Buccaneers.
Yeah, one of those teams that wins the South and the West. Those teams stink. So the divisional round, you'll have, let's say Minnesota is ahead of Green Bay. I could change. Let's see, they are.
If the Cowboys could pull this off and lose in the first
Stop.
round, yeah.
Stop.
They're gonna lose in the first round, but they that'd be so easy for them. They because I heard they're in the hunt, but I don't know. They're so bad.
Don't look at the graphics on NFL Network or Fox or CBS. Stop. The Cowboys. But say it is as it stands with the seeding, and Minnesota and Green Bay win the wild card game, which is likely in the wild card round. Detroit will play Green Bay in the divisional round. Philadelphia will play Minnesota. Here's what I'm predicting. Green Bay goes into Detroit and wins. Green Bay went into Dallas and smoked them last year. Now, Dallas are frauds in the playoffs. I'm not going to make too big a deal about that aspect, but they went into Dallas and smoked them. Jordan Love showed what he could do in the playoffs, and then they went right down the wire in San Francisco in the divisional round, which is even more impressive.
I think
Green Bay, and I think Detroit is really good, but I'm big on Green Bay. First of all, I predicted them to win the Super Bowl. Wait, did I? Or I picked them to go to? No. Stop. Wrong. I predicted the Chiefs to three-peat. I'm sticking with that. But I had Chiefs over Packers for the season, and I'm sticking with that, Chiefs over Packers.
My thing about this is I love the Green Bay Packers. I think they're a team of three good wide receivers. Jordan Love really knows how to get them all involved. It's the defense shows up in the playoffs enough. So this is a team that's good. They have Josh Jacobs to run the ball. But I feel like whatever – like the Detroit Lions are going to be able to pick apart every single playoff game with them either running the ball or pass the ball. As I said earlier, if your run defense is a top 10, top 12, they're going to run the ball. If your pass defense is a top 10, top 12, they're going to pass the ball with efficiency, and they're going to carve you up. So it's a team that's really different because they have literally zero holes. This offensive line is difficult to stop. I know it's a lousy, like lazy kind of thing to say of taking them, but it's just like this team is different. Like there's something that this team is like. They have the two running backs. They have the wide receivers. Like
maybe I'm making too big a deal about the other day. But the other day they were on national television. Everybody was watching. It's Thanksgiving, and they were fortunate to beat the Bears. There's something with a situation like that where I say the limelight was on you because every playoff game, that's the only game going at the time. It's a national game, major audience. Now, much more pressure to playoffs than Thanksgiving. But there's just something didn't sit right with me in that game. And then people say, you are crazy. Come on, stop. But the pressure that's going to be in the Lions, they've never been to the Super Bowl. After what happened last year, they were so close. They had a big lead in San Francisco. The pressure's going to be immense. They're going to be at home. And Green Bay's very good. And Jordan Love is very good. And LaFleur is very good and has a lot of experience. And Green Bay's been knocking on the door for a while. Of course, they're underdogs. But give me Green Bay.
Yeah, I would love to see Green Bay win. I mean, this is a team that
I'll admit I like Green Bay too. I'm a Jets fan. I like Green Bay. I just love that organization. I used to not like them. I guess I was jealous of them or whatever because I'm a Jet fan. But as time went on, and I don't know. I just like came to have this great respect and like now liking for the Packers.
Yeah, their organization is really well. They know how to get quarterbacks. They know how to get good stuff around the quarterbacks. They definitely train their players for these type of games. I feel like Matt LaFleur knows how to coach these type of games. And
in and saying, you know what? We're gonna show the Lions who really is the boss of the NFC North and of the NFC.
So
you want to join us?
I figured I would come in and check it out.
Why not? It's all for fun, right?
What's going on?
Nothing. I'm just here with my son Jack over here and Frank, just checking out what they're doing here at the Jacked Up and Bring Frank show. A long-time listener, first-time caller.
Right now, we're talking NFL. You came in
Yeah.
as we're talking about the Packers and the top teams in the NFL, looking ahead to the playoffs and what could potentially help happen there. We did a lot of Ohio State, Michigan, if you want to chime in on that. The college football playoff.
No, I don't have to chime in. I can just sit and listen to these fantastic.
You want to do a little on your Mets?
Oh, dude, I can't do the Mets justice. Jack does Mets justice, but I will tell you one thing about the Ohio State and Michigan game. I'm all for a good rivalry. I am all for a good rivalry, and I think that that in my head that was not excessive celebration, if that's what they want to call it. I think it's just one of those games where there's excitement. And they went and did the same thing that what's his face did, who was a couple of years ago. Baker Mayfield did.
That's
So
what Jack brought up.
it wasn't unprecedented. It wasn't like somebody got into someone else's face and started jawing at them. So I thought it was appropriate, and I thought the kids got their feelings hurt, and the whole thing was a disgrace at the end.
We're on the same page. I mean, we went on for a while about it, and really on the same page with you.
Yeah. It's yeah. So what else what else is going on in here? What's the next thing that we're doing?
Well, we've been doing the NFL for, I don't know, maybe like 15 minutes now.
Oh, wow.
Jets and Giants, we just said they stink because we've talked a lot about
There's
them
not.
both. There's not much else to talk about right now. We'll get to them as we get into the offseason, which is going to be huge for both franchises, obviously. You have any thoughts on
What?
the NFL right now and the games and the playoff picture, power rankings?
Yeah, I just think that as a longtime Giants fan, I got to admit, I can't believe that I am excited to see somebody on the Eagles. Not saying I'm excited about the Eagles and not saying I'm excited that Saquon Barkley went to the Eagles, but it's nice seeing the boy eat, right? You know, young man, he's there, he's trying to eat finally, and he is. And I am super excited about that. And I think that he is an amazing player, and he's finally getting his time. And, you know, one of the things I always say is that football is one of those team sports. It's not just one player, right? And this is a perfect example of how you take somebody who's an amazing athlete. He was hurt, no two ways about it. He was hurt, but he came back, and he's on an excellent team. I can't say the Eagles are excellent.
They're very good.
They're on a good team, and he's really eating. And it's exciting to see him do that.
Well, you're a good sport because I would say that you were in a small minority of
I
Giants
am,
fans
I am.
taking that approach.
And that's why I am saying that on something on this type of this type of program. And I like it. He's a class. I think he's a class act. I think that the Giants did him dirty a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is just one of these things. I mean, it would only be funnier if, you know, Daniel Jones went to the Dallas Cowboys and he did beat our ass on Thanksgiving.
He went to the Vikings.
Yeah, but it would even be funnier if he went to the Dallas Cowboys. So that's my 2 cents on that. And on the playoffs, I got to say that this whole season has been absolutely amazing with like the last minute, you know, scores. And it seems to be a lot more exciting this season than even last season. Or it could just be the
I think
social media.
The top teams are very good.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of mediocre and bad teams, but the top teams, I mean, this game right here that we're looking at, Philadelphia and Baltimore, which the Eagles are now at 14-9. Yeah. Looking forward to watching this more in depth in the second half as we'll, you know, once we wrap our show and we'll tune into the second half. I think this has the makings of being a really good game and a really good finish to the game, and two upper echelon teams. I didn't think the Eagles would be this. Did anyone see this coming from the Eagles this year?
After they lost his first 2 games, I didn't think at all this would be a team that would do anything. I thought it was going to be the same old Eagles. We're going to go in the wild card, and they're going to lose to.
That's a fumble.
They're going to lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card. But it has a different feeling to me about this Eagles team. This Eagles team has I don't know. It's just
I still expect them to come.
I do, but I feel like it's a different feeling than just I'm going to lose in the first round and do the same thing over and over again.
They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This just has a different feeling than those last year Eagles.
Well, definitely. I don't expect them to collapse like they did because last year they were 10-1,
Mhm.
and then they lost 6 of their last 7. No, 5 of the last 6. Yeah, they were 10-1. They finished, I think, 11-6. But there's a lot. There's good storylines, I think, with each of the true contenders. Like Baltimore, can they finally get over the hump? Lamar Jackson, does he have 2 MVPs now? Could he
nasty? Yeah.
Could he get to the Super Bowl? Like, there's a lot of pressure there. The Chiefs with the 3-peat, the Lions, can they finally get to a Super Bowl? And obviously they want to win it too. And some would argue they're the best team. So with the top teams, and I think the playoffs are going to be great. Wild card round, not so sure, but I think divisional round on this year is going to be fantastic.
I agree.
Maybe one of the best in recent years.
The wild card game doesn't matter because the Cowboys aren't in there. When they would usually get first seed, they would lose in the wild card, get one of those top seeds that wouldn't play in the.
That's a good point. The Cowboys, they always make things interesting, and then they go and lose.
It's fair. They make the wild card. You know what? I give them credit because they make the wild card game look interesting. Because whenever you see the Cowboys, they could lose. They're a team that definitely could lose in the wild card. So,
the playoffs loses something without them. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are quote unquote America's team. But you lose something without them there. The Cowboys finally their year, and you get people. So it's their year. And
it's people that say, "Oh, I don't even need to watch the game; they're gonna lose." Like, I don't even need to tune in. Like, I don't even need to check the scores. I can just see the scores at the end of the game and see the Cowboys lost, and I have 100% faith they're gonna lose. So, it's different people when it comes to them. It's very different people. There's people that really think they're gonna be this is their year. There are gonna be people that just think they can just sit there, don't even need to watch the game, and they just know that the Cowboys are gonna lose. So
a long time for them.
And
Mike, do you think?
No, I was going to go back to my original point on Saquon Barkley. I'm just going to go backwards, as we don't like to go back in time. But as much as I want to see him eat, I want to see Philly lose. There's no two ways about it. So let's just be honest. Let's be honest.
For 200 yards.
Exactly. Then maybe he can get a great contract next year and go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
I want him to do well. I don't care so much about.
As a Giants fan, you can't root for Philadelphia.
You bring a good point about individual country. I want to see Lamar Jackson crush, right? That I do. It's the Falcons. There's a byproduct for it. No, I mean the Ravens are a byproduct to that. For me, I get the individual.
And he seems like a good guy.
He does.
It's easier to root for someone.
Yeah,
who's a good guy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be a big storyline.
But I think there's I think at the end of the day, it's not enough of individual stuff for Lamar. It's more just he needs to win now.
He does.
I think you only can have I don't think there's enough of team stuff, but you can only have enough of individual stuff before you have to win. Especially if you're talent like Lamar. Lamar's amazing talent. He's generational talent. So there's enough of just let's win individually. Let's win as a team.
Yeah. And there's going to be immense pressure. So we'll see how he handles this time around. And the Bills will be immense pressure. They've been knocking the door, but they come up short every year in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So could this be their year? So once we get to the playoffs, it's going to be really exciting. I think it's going to be one of the best playoffs in recent memory with the teams involved and the stories. I think stories are what makes it great, and there's great storylines that are going to be at the forefront for the NFL playoffs this year. Mike, anything on Soto, the Mets? Do you think he's going to go to the Mets?
I hope. Yeah, I mean, it would be not a Cinderella story. It would be one of those, great pickups by our man Cohen, right? But I don't know, I think time will tell, right?
I think he's going to go to the Mets. I thought it for a while now. Jack thinks the same thing. I think the Mets are going to offer the most money. Cohen's all in.
Yeah.
I think
he's got to be all in at this point.
He's going to pay up. I think the Yankees, there were reports that came out yesterday. There's one report I saw where it said the Yankees are willing to go. And who knows what the reports. And, I don't take it as gold. Not even close, but there was reports that the Yankees are willing to go to $550 million They're not going above that. That's not going to get it done.
No.
So I don't think he's going to the Yankees. I'd be surprised if he's going to the Yankees, unless the Yankees have a change of heart last minute or they're, kind of playing a game here. I think he's going with who's offering the most, and I think it's going to be the Mets. The Red Sox have been mentioned in here. There was a report that they offered 13 years, $625 million, which, if that's true, I'm very pleasantly surprised as a Red Sox fan that they would offer that. I'm skeptical of it. But I don't think they're going to be able to offer the most. I think they're going to have their cap on the price, but I think Cohen's going to be like, I'm going to do what it takes.
Right. It's always.
I think he's right to do that. He has the money to do it.
Yeah.
And
it's the team he feels comfortable in.
The Dodgers, I always I've been worried. I worry about the Dodgers.
Blake Snell to the Dodgers. They got Snell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers are going to give another $650, $700 million contract.
Yeah.
I mean, when do they have a cap?
Yeah.
What is their cap?
Do they have one?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I feel like it'd be a little bit concerned about that. Like, who knows if they'll sneak in? We'll get him too.
I'd be a little bit concerned about the Major League Baseball as a whole if they get him. I think I'd be really concerned about it. I think the whole how salary works. We have a big.
Right.
I think if that goes down, we're gonna have a big conversation about how salary works in the MLB.
Well, deferred money.
Yes,
that's a major problem. What they did with the Ohtani contract, I can't stand that. Now they're playing within the rules; it's not their fault, but I think that needs to change. That's gonna have to come up in the next.
Especially if we get Soto for deferred. There's a lot of.
Right, but then it comes back to the age-old problem forever with baseball, right? And it's like there's only like a handful of people. There's only a handful of good teams. It's like if people can't get the good players, they don't have the money, and it's just,
baseball's done better with parity,
but it's still not
than
the
it
same.
did in the past.
Yeah, but still not the same. And at what point does Steve Cohen and the Dodgers and the Yankees, they all start? I'm just surprised there's no blinking. There's no blinking. It's like everybody, I guess, has their cap, and then they're not going above it. But I can't believe the people aren't going. The Yankees saying, "I'll do this." No, I'll do that, and everybody's just bidding up. I mean, these numbers for these kids are amazing. And then I just can't believe. I just can't believe there's not more of a back and forth that you hear about and a real testosterone contest between the top money people in the MLB. There's just it's just an interesting. The whole thing is interesting to me.
The Soto story is fascinating. I think it's one of the better off-season hot stove stories there's been. Free agency this, it's massive.
This is pro. Yes.
And there's been other big prize free agents recent years. The year where you had Harper and Machado, that was the 2019 offseason. So after the 2018 season, going into the 19 season, that was really big. And both of them waited out very long. They went into spring training. But this is massive. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on in the offseason. And it's you pay attention to it more so with your team, I think. That's how I am.
100%.
Follow what the Red Sox doing, not so much what every other team's doing. It becomes a lot, But
especially with social media now, there's so much content out there. 15 years ago, you could follow a half a dozen teams and be pretty much now it could consume your entire life. Yeah. More than a couple teams.
I mean, when I was younger, Jack is with the NBA. I'm following every single thing in terms of
100%.
The offseason, everything, but particularly offseason, knowing every player is a free agent, potential trades, all 30 teams. Yeah. But it's a lot. It is a lot. But the Soto story is great. It's great that baseball has this offseason story.
I feel like it's a lot of people. I feel like it's a one team show. You might think it is. I think you probably think it's just the Mets. You have a favorite towards the Mets. You think not you favorite them kind of getting him. But so this kind of a big time race between the Mets and the Yankees, and we haven't had that in a long time where it's a one player kind of okay, we know 100% this blank team is going to get
going to the Yankees. I don't think it's what the Yankees do anymore. I think Hal Steinbrenner has his cap.
Okay.
They have Aaron Judge signed to a massive contract. They got Garrett Cole back.
Yeah.
I think Hal Steinbrenner has his limit. If George Steinbrenner were alive, he'd be going to the Yankees.
Right. Yeah.
he's I don't know. I mean, Steve Cohen's like a George Steinbrenner type in regards to spending.
Right.
I mean, that would have been so interesting to get the two of them.
Oh my!
I mean, Soto would have wound up with $1 billion contract for one of those guys.
It would be like Atlantic City every year. They're at the poker table. You know what I mean? It would be crazy.
That would have been so much fun if you had George Steinbrenner versus Steve Cohen.
Oh.
It's like just two guys like that. I mean, really, what would that contract like? They're just going to keep it going. And Soto's like, all right, how about 700, 750, 800?
After a while, it becomes not real money anyway. It's monopoly money. Like, it's just...
But I don't think the Yankees are done anymore.
No.
I would really be surprised if he goes to the Yankees. Not like stunned.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going there. I do think he's going to the Mets.
That'd be so great.
I don't think it's happened with the Red Sox. I just don't see the Red Sox going to the level it takes to get him. I think they're just gonna get outbid by the Mets. Get like Los Angeles, like who knows? But is Soto? I don't know if there's been reports out there, but is Soto willing to take a deferred contract? Like, okay.
I don't know with the Dodgers right now. I mean, look at who's playing with.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, there's money, but you're still getting the money. Like at the end of the day, you're getting the money. But it's just like you're playing with these star players. But I guess I get it. Like you take the most money, but he's still getting the money. But it's like deferred. But he's playing with those star players.
I don't know if he's. I haven't seen anything. I'm not sure.
Maybe he does. I don't know. I think I saw.
I kind of think he wouldn't be willing to do it. I think he'd want money up front. Maybe defer some.
Yeah.
The Dodgers deferred how much? It was ridiculous. Yeah. Almost the whole contract. That stuff's got to stop.
Yeah. No.
Jack, you want to?
But do you think there'd be that's the thing? Do you think if he does go to the Mets, I think there's a great shot at the Subway Series. That'd be awesome next year. That'd be so easily.
Well, the Yankees would take a couple steps back.
I think
without Soto.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be.
I still think the Yankees
still be good.
Well, they would have a pivot move. I don't know if that would make them that competitive. I think they would make a decent pivot move. I don't know what that. It's not Juan Soto, of course, but I think they make a pivot move.
Who? Which one?
Oh, if the Yankees don't.
Oh,
yeah. They'll have a plan B.
If it's Pete Alonso, if it's
the Yankees can be good, and the American League was weak this past year. We got to see how the offseason unfolds. The National League right now is significantly stronger than the American League. I mean, like the Yankees won a weak American League. Like, okay, they won the pennant, but in most years, that Yankees team is not winning the pennant. I really think the Yankees, if they were in the National League last year, wasn't a lock to make the playoffs. They probably would have, but
I think they lose the Mets.
Good, not taking anything away from them, but 100% agreed. 100%.
I think they lose the Mets last year.
Which one?
The Mets are better than the Yankees last year.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. But yeah, I think it's kind of undershadowing who could the Mets get Pete Alonso as well. Like it's a big thing, but I think number one thing is a lot of money to pay Soto. So I think that's the biggest thing is that you're looking at getting Soto. But
you would think if they get Soto that Alonso goes, but Steve Cohen he will spend.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think that report goes out? I mean, I think he's gonna. Do you think he's a guy that's gonna mull over his offers? You know, like and wait.
What's been out there about Alonso? Like I've heard nothing.
Nothing. I haven't heard anything.
Well, it's such a big story. The teams that are usually going, I think Yankees, their pivot move is Alonso. So I think that's the thing. Like they're not going to kind of talk about Alonso right now because they're trying to, of course, re-sign Soto. So
it's a waiting game. It's waiting to see what comes about with Soto. I do hope the Soto thing doesn't go on too long. I think if he signs, say by the middle of December, okay, fine. But I think MLB has a problem where these things just go on for too long. Where the NBA does it great.
Yeah.
You got that window with free agents. The NBA offseason is the best offseason of any league by far. NFL is pretty good, but MLB, they have to do something with making the offseason more exciting. Now, this is exciting with Soto, but if it drags on and on, then it becomes too much.
You have your time to move your offers.
Yep.
Do you think they offered him already? Probably a lot of teams did already. Probably offering him right now. You would think, like
the reports have been that teams have made offers to Soto. The Yankees have made an offer. The Mets have made an offer. The Red Sox made an offer and they made a second offer. I think the Yankees might have made a second offer too. Like there's been offers presented. So the teams presented offers in the last week or so. They had their initial meetings and then it was offers and second offers. But again, who really knows what's going on? Like I think it's safe to say. I mean, the meetings have happened; those are facts. There's been offers.
And is the offers correct? We're never gonna know the actual like offers they gave them. Like we're gonna know what the offer accepts, of course, but we're never gonna probably know.
We could potentially know the offers. I mean, when Aaron Judge was a free agent a couple of years ago, the reports came out about the offers he got, and that seemed like solid reporting. But you do have to be careful with it. I mean, you had John Heyman saying that Arson Judge was going to the San Francisco Giants. He really jumped the gun on that. Yeah. But it goes to show these guys want to be first. Want to get it out there. I was the first reported, but he really embarrassed himself with that. And he's been a good reporter. I give him he's a good baseball reporter. But that was a really embarrassing thing.
Right now, it's a lot of just like what's our favorite? Like who's our favorite to get Juan Soto? So I don't think it's a lot of just like when we know we can get him. You can't really do that right now. But I think middle of December.
You get the winter meetings
coming. But maybe Soto just like Mets their first offer. It's just a big offer that he knows that the Yankees are not going to give him. Like
he'll go to the other teams though they're involved and say, "Hey, the Mets offered $650 million, 15 years. What do you got?"
Well, we're good.
And then you see what they say. I think both the Yankees and Red Sox.
But maybe the Mets come out. Do you think the Mets come out like? The Mets could just come out hot, as I mean. Like, they could just throw a bunch of money and be like, what do you have to say? And they're like, no. They started off pretty well. Let's not talk about it. Let's just go on our separate ways. They offer too much money. Right? They started off. Is that a Cohen way to do it? I mean, who knows? Could you just throw a bunch of money at the first time offer and make them?
Well, I think you should be careful with it. Like, hey, $800 million is not. I'm exaggerating, but.
Right. You take a post
because they talk and they say, the Soto camp will tell the Mets, hey, the Red Sox offered 13 years, $625 million. So you have those talks and the numbers are put out there. Like you don't want to lowball it. So you come in and say, hey, I'm going to give you 10 years,
right?
$400 million. Just like he's going to walk away and laugh at you, and then that's it.
Right. What's the guarantee on those? On the contract, on like his contract, like the 15 years, $700 million. What is usually a guarantee on that? Is it if he gets hurt in a contract like that? If he gets hurt in like 2 years,
it's all guaranteed.
Yeah, that's right. It's bananas.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is opt outs. So you can have opt outs in this contract. That's another part of
it. Like I don't know, Daniel Jones is an opt out. Like there's contracts that were opt outs, not as big as Soto, but there's opt outs contracts.
Yeah, baseball, it's all guaranteed money. It's different than the NFL. Yeah, so the winter meetings, I said, are coming up. So those are going to be not this upcoming week, the following. It's always the second week in December. They always go somewhere where it's warm weather. I'm not sure where it is this year. So if he's not signed by then it's going to be massive at the winter meetings. Those go on for 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that'll be December 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I almost hope he doesn't sign until then, because if it's going on then and you get the winter meetings, like the media coverage for that, it's just going to be nuts. Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Think they'll plan that just like wrestling. Don't say anything until
I can see that.
I can totally.
And I don't blame them if they do.
But that's all. That's all business. I wouldn't blame them either.
And then ultimately, don't you want sports to be entertaining?
100%.
That's all like the flag that Michigan planted.
Yeah,
it's not over the top.
No.
It's fun.
Yes.
It's like sports should be fun.
Right.
There should be boundaries. Cross those boundaries. Be respectful, but make it fun. Make it entertaining.
It's a competition. Right? It's fun.
Competition's fun. Yeah. And it should bring out the best in both sides. Exactly. And you just, you're trying to win, but I get just the entertainment value of the Soto thing and some of the stuff we were talking about the NFL. Make sports entertaining. Like give us a reason to watch. Yeah, you want high level competition.
Yes,
but you want storylines.
100%.
And Soto's a huge storyline.
Yeah.
It's about Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, the Chiefs trying to three-peat. Like those are storylines that draw you to sports. Yeah. Rivalries draw you to sports.
It's the additional excitement aside from the game. I mean, that's what it's all.
And that's where I think analytics becomes too much. I think it has a place. I love data, and I think data should be a part of it.
Yeah.
An analysis and it's a part of it, but I think it's become too much, and it's just it dominates other aspects of sports.
Mm-hmm.
Including experience, and you want to say gut or feel, how we would put that.
Yeah.
Like it's pushed that stuff to the side, but even it's just not. It's taking over the entertainment value.
The fun,
focusing on the entertainment value.
Right. I mean, not to go down a totally other path because we don't, but the reason why, and I'm not saying it's the same at all, but the reason why WWE wrestling is so exciting to people is even though they know it's fake, there's storylines, there's excitement, there's buildup, there's all that sort of stuff. So it wouldn't be fun. It was just two guys like in there wrestling. It's the whole story. It's WrestleMania. It's like, I see nothing wrong about putting a little bit of excitement into, like we're talking about, into sports, what they're starting to do now, right? Into the sports, right? And if he does announce it during that time, it'll be kind of cool. It's a build up. And that's what people love.
Maybe he does. And maybe the excitement is what people say afterwards about it. Or is that like, I don't know if there's excitement there, but I think if he signs, like, when are we gonna ask a bunch of questions about what'd you do? Like,
there'll be excitement after the fact.
Right. The Yankees were like, "What'd you do? Like, what did you do, and what did you offer, and or did Steve Cohen just beat you to it? Steve Cohen just outbid you."
There'll be a lot of questions after, which will be exciting,
right,
and interesting to follow. So I mean, like I said, that's a great point about WWE. And I was never a fan of pro wrestling because I didn't like that it is fake, that it is made up. But when I was a kid, most of my friends loved it, and they'd watch Monday Night Raw.
Right.
Like, I can't get into this. I watch sports because sports is real. It's not scripted. So I always just pushed it off and never gave pro wrestling a chance. But now I get it. Over the years, I'm like, I get why people really like this because it's exciting, it's entertaining, and there's stories and people love stories.
And they're starting to do that with professional football, even with like the Taylor Swift and the Kelsey they're starting to get more into the people and all that. I think that's fun for everybody. And it's not saying it's fake at all, but it's like bringing the excitement and the personalities and the person around the people, not just the team scoring the touchdown. I think people like that part of the sports that they're starting to get to more. And that's, getting more people to watch and getting more excitement around it that wasn't there before. That's just what I'm seeing. And the funniest thing was the XFL. We used to love it back in the day. I'm an old man. I went to a bunch of the games because it was totally fun, right?
Yeah.
It's not professional football, but there was that fun factor that people were looking for. All the fun names, and it's that piece. And I think there's a part where if you just meld that together into professional sports, as they're starting to do, right?
Yeah.
You get a much broader audience. You get a lot more of that fun factor. The analytics, there's definitely a place for analytics. That's how you make good deals. But when it comes to the analytics around just that's the whole thing to the game, you lose sight of the fun of when we were playing football as kids, right? It was analytics. It's fun. It was being the other team. It was like, oh, that guy's amazing. Like that person's an awesome player. Like that's more of like what you're saying we want to get to with professional sports, and I think it's happening.
Yeah. I think of what baseball's done in the last few years with its rule changes.
Yeah,
I like the rule changes.
100%.
I love the pitch clock,
Yep.
right? The action
Me
clock.
too.
That's great. But there are people making the argument, it's not fair to the pitchers. Pitchers are getting hurt more now because of the pitch clock. It's like, well, adapt to the pitch clock, so that you don't get hurt. Like that, is it having an effect in terms of them getting more injured? I don't know for sure, but if it is, and that's on the pitchers and the organizations for not adapting. If you're just going to go out there and try to throw your hardest all the time, well, you know what, you're gonna probably get hurt. You might blow out your shoulder, your elbow. If you're trying to spin the heck out of the ball, you're gonna get hurt. Like you have to make those adjustments. So again, it's like, analytics, information, it's good, but baseball made those rule changes to make the game more entertaining, more watchable.
And if it wasn't for the fact that, and that's one of those things, and again, I don't think we're going to see anything out of baseball for a little while because people are still trying to digest that. But if it wasn't for the fact that I would go, like, I mean, I'm making this up, but you would go to the bathroom, get something to eat, come back, and the guy's still pitching. That's why they went to the next level of this is ridiculous.
When I watch Red Sox games, and really all baseball games, but when I particularly watch Red Sox games, I watch most of them.
Mm-hmm.
I watch in my bedroom, and there's a bathroom right next to my bedroom. Before they changed the rules, the last 2 years of the pitch clock. Before that, I literally lots of times would be able to go. So pitch, I go to the bathroom, I come back, and there wasn't another pitch yet. You can't do that anymore. And like I had to adjust to that because I used to if I had to go, okay, pitch, I'll go now. You know, like if I really couldn't wait to the half innings over, I'd go and would not miss a pitch. Sometimes get back with time to spare. Now you can't do that.
It got ridiculous.
That's a good thing.
And you got to go to work the next morning too. Like it was ridiculous. I mean, you can't.
Well, the game's going on until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Now a 7 o'clock game, you're done 9:30, 9:45, maybe 10 o'clock once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you go to games and you'd watch somebody like David Price or Josh Beckett. I mean, you'd watch and you just wait and you're looking around. And it's like, come on, like this is not fun. You're like, but they make these analytical arguments where, the guys have more chance of getting hurt. And then, because they want to throw as hard as they can. Well, if you don't have as much recovery time between pitches, they can't throw as hard. Well, so what? Mm-hmm. Then don't throw as hard.
Exactly.
Locate the ball.
Right. Agreed.
Mix things up, like pitch.
And you have to evolve. Like sports have to evolve with what's going on socially, right? There's reels. People have like lower attention spans in general. Not saying that I don't watch game, but you have to start adapting slowly. You got to make it more energetic. You got to make it quicker. You got to make it faster. And you don't want to take this heart and soul out of a game because that's going to ruin everything. Well, there's certain things you can do.
There's a certain school,
right,
that we used to. He attended school there, and I worked there.
Yes.
Okay. Their motto. I like the motto. It's a good motto. Tradition meets tomorrow. Okay. So I think with sports, I think with everything, you value tradition, but you also need to adapt and you need to incorporate new ideas.
100%.
So I think you pretty much have to find a balance of those two. And some people may lean one side or the other. I lean more towards tradition, but you can't go so far where you're not open to new ideas.
Right.
But then I also think the bigger problem now is people that want to dismiss tradition and just go with all these new ideas. Right. And like we said, Major League Baseball, you're not going to see them implement new things right away. I actually like that because I think you got to take it slow. You can't do too much at one time. So again, it's that motto of tradition meets tomorrow. I think it's a good philosophy to have, whether it's school, whether it's sports, whatever it is in life. Yeah, I think it's a good way to approach things.
Absolutely.
So there's a plug for my former employer and
his former
school.
Yes, which will rename nameless. No.
But yeah, I think that there's always tradition with it. But I think like if something gets overdone, like if something like isn't the same or there needs to be something new to it, kind of tweak to it, then you got to do it. I mean, look, traditions are traditions, but at the end of the day, world moves and you got to make adjustments. And I think adjustments as coaches make adjustments. They have their set philosophy, their set game plan, but they make adjustments in that game plan. That's what they're trying to do with other sports. They're trying to make adjustments. They're not trying to we're not going to throw a game plan away. We're definitely going to do that, but we're trying to make tweaks in that game plan so we can meet with what the game's calling for.
Yeah, you have the foundation, you have the structure, but then you have to make adjustments.
It's like with everything, not just sports. It's with everything. It's with business. It's with everything. Just gotta make it.
Yeah, and then is it good change or is it bad change? Like not all change is good, but not all change is bad. Not all traditions are good. Some are good, some are bad, and then it's fun to have the conversations. It's fun to have the debates. I view it more as a conversation, but debates are fun too. And that's another thing with sports when you have things to talk about.
Yeah,
you have controversial things like the Ohio State Michigan thing. People talking about it. So you don't want to see anything goes over the top. You don't want to see a brawl. Right. You want to get to the point where people get pepper sprayed by the police. Like, no, that's not a good thing. Right. But the fact that we're talking about it, that people care that much.
100%.
As long as it's kept in the right perspective, the right light, like it's fun. We need sports in life.
100%. You can't even. I don't even. It's funny. It's one of those things that even people that don't love sports love watching some games, and it brings people together. Like think about the Super Bowl. Think about the Super Bowl.
There it is.
It's family. It's friends and
Thanksgiving.
family. Thanksgiving, but football, Thanksgiving. And I think that sort of stuff will never die.
Yeah. And you could overvalue it, and I've certainly done that in my own life. I still do sometimes, but I really did. I mean, Jack, when I was your age, forget about it. Everything was sports. So you could overvalue it, but I don't like when people say, sports ain't important now. You don't understand sports. I mean, even the aspect of sports where you're playing sports, particularly as a kid, as an amateur, the life lessons that you learn. It's not just about what's going on the game, on the field, or the court, wherever you're playing it. Like there's more to it.
I always said that about team sports. I don't care if you're good. I don't care if you're bad. I feel that team sports allowed me to work better today at my company, right? Without learning how to work with others, play with others, you can't.
I say this as a teacher. You learn just as much or more.
Yeah.
I'll say just as much. Yeah. Just as much in athletics as you do in the classroom. And the classroom is really important.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. Like classroom is vitally important. Mm-hmm. But playing sports, if you have the right approach, all the things you can learn from sports. Because again, you will get some people sports. It's not. No, sports. It's really important. It's really beneficial. And even just we need time in life to enjoy things or come on and do a podcast like this where you're just talking and having fun. Like it's a good thing.
And the last thing I'll say is about sports, why it's not going to go anywhere, is because there are certain things that you see that generationally it's getting less and less interesting, right? Sports is not. This generation here, they're just as bananas as I was, as you were. It's not getting any less exciting or any less popular as the generations are going. So
I think overall that's true, but the individual sports, some sports have become more popular, others have become less popular. Like baseball is less popular, and that's a problem for baseball.
Yeah.
Where the NBA has become more popular, the NFL is king right now. Soccer has become more popular. Still think it's the fifth sport in this country, but it's gaining. I mean, MLS, not to get over MLS, but I think like 28 teams. That's incredible. And that league started in 1996.
Right, yeah.
They got 28 teams. Like that's really good. Yeah. I never thought I'd get to that level, but no, you're right. I mean, sports is bigger than it ever was, really.
And maybe in his generation, we'll actually see professional lacrosse players making real money. You never know.
Well,
you never know.
Lacrosse is,
but you're right,
really taking off.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thank you for allowing
me. We covered a lot today.
To allow me to come in and speak with you guys. It was fun.
This was fun, Mike. Join us. Yeah. Join us next week anytime. So that's a wrap on episode 10.
Do you have any final thoughts by Dr. Jack Yablonowitz?
No.
You want to get us? How about this? One thing to look for with the Knicks this upcoming week, and that'll wrap. We'll do a lot more next week because we didn't know the Knicks today.
So I think one thing to look forward is Mikal Bridges. We paid 6 first-round picks for him. Isn't playing the way that we all want him to do. Is it because he's sitting in the corner not doing anything and just sitting there and waiting for a shot, which he can't hit right now? Maybe, but he just needs to do more in the basketball court, defensively and offensively. Just isn't living up to the expectation we asked for somebody. Would you give us 6 first-round picks? When you give us 6 first-round picks for somebody, you're going after a superstar, and this guy Mikal Bridges can't hit a shot. So it's different for him, and I think it's gonna take time. But I think this week he's gonna have to really have this 120-point game where he shoots the ball well to get himself going. So I think that's something to look forward to this week. Is does he have a big time shooting game, and how does that help him for the games or the playoffs or anything coming up? How does that help him? So I think this is a week for Mikal Bridges. He has to show up right now. I think there's a time is now for him.
He's got the yips.
You see the new commercial for State Farm, the Yips?
No, I didn't. I haven't.
Oh, I love those commercials.
It's the truth.
Oh, what's some of the other ones? And they're great. With the guy, he's like a different thing every. I'm trying to think of some of the examples, but the new one, he's the Yips. Oh, it is so funny. I love those commercials.
It is. People forget, right, Jack? They forget that these are kids. These are kids, right? I mean, they get paid a ton of money, but it's like I always say that they forget about the personality of the people, right? Mikal Bridges is an awesome player. Now people aren't liking him, right? He's not doing well. I mean, yeah, he's a pro, but like, I think he'll come back into his own if people just stop just jumping on him every single second. I feel like the reporters are like, totally, he misses a shot, and it's like he's terrible. It's the worst thing ever.
Like he committed a crime after he missed a shot.
Exactly.
The fans that boo guys who are
It's
like, if you're
awful.
not trying or you're not a team player, okay, you want to boo the guy, but if the guy's trying real hard, he's just struggling.
Yeah.
If you boo him, that's
Right.
not going to make him play better.
I don't care that he made $50 billion. He's still a person. I think that if you do that, you're not going to give up. Let's just say he's not going to have a better shot of getting good again. Like,
There's a better shot that's going to hurt him.
Right,
Maybe some guys will
absolutely.
motivate,
right.
but most guys, it's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
So I never got it.
I
So
never got
that's
that
a New
either.
York thing. They do it
Yeah.
in Boston, Philly. It's a Northeast thing. The rest of the country, they're
You'll see
not into that sort of thing.
see Daniel Jones like throw like a savage at the Vikings, and because now he's you never know, you get a fresh start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen plenty of times before.
Yeah.
See it happen to the guy that's in the quarterback room with him, and the Jets with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is great. This is our longest show. I think it was our best show. This was a great show. The other ones are really good, but this was an awesome show. Check out Nick's show. Nick
Nick of
Why
time.
did I just
Nick
call you
of time.
Nick? Because I meant to say Nick of Time.
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
I got to slow down. Nick of Time. Jack Jovanowitz, season 2. You're several episodes into this season. So if you want to hear literally, truly the best coverage of the New York Knicks, he knows the team inside and out. NBA, basketball, absolute genius. So check out Jack's podcast about the Knicks and the NBA called The Nick of Time. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will be back next week.